To our first 10 o'clock service on Sundays. As we're trying to get the word out, we are now having our services at 10 o'clock each Sunday, Facebook Live, as well as in person. So we invite either way that you want to show up and be here. I'm Charlie Bourne. I'll be the practitioner today, and I am available for social distance prayer support afterwards, if you'd like to do that. And welcome for coming today. So we'd like to thank everybody who showed up in service. We have our board member, we have Damien in the sound booth, we have our ushers and greeters. So we're going to start off with just a few announcements. But first of all, if there's anybody new, if you can raise your hand. It looks like we're all familiar with each other. But if you're new on Facebook Live, you can check out our website and get all kinds of information about classes. And then we have ongoing classes and meetups during the week through Zoom. And one of those I'll be announcing here in a minute. And then if you could turn off any devices that may go off during the service. I appreciate that. So I'm going to move. Where are the invitations? Uh-oh, here they are. So just two brief ones. So on Wednesday mornings, we have a midweek pick-up Zoom call. It's just a check-in. So whoever's doing the service on Sunday will be answering questions and having a conversation about the topic of the talk. So this Wednesday will be headed up by Sue, and she'll be having a discussion about today's service. And it's actually become quite popular, and a lot of people joining on Zoom, and so you just let the office know or Sue know, and she'll give you the invite for that. And then we are going to have a used book sale. It's going to be Sunday, August 30th to Sunday, September 13th. So we're collecting books now through Sunday, August 23rd. And I'm not sure how that's going to unfold, but I know it's going to unfold in the perfect way. So now I'm going to invite Damien up to do our reading, followed by invitation of the bell, and then a minute of silence. And then I'll do a prayer, and then we'll have Reverend Sue do today's message. Damien?
Good morning. The reading today is from the book Polishing the Mirror by Ram Dass. The piece is titled Watching the Watcher. The witness doesn't evaluate. It doesn't judge your actions. It merely takes note of them. It is a subtle thing. The watcher watching him or herself watching. It is actually two planes of consciousness simultaneously, the witness and the ego. The witness is connected to the soul plane. At first, you may be distracted and remember only to witness now and then. Later, you will notice that although you still fall asleep and lose the witness, you start to remember to witness again sooner. Just notice. You don't have to change anything. Eventually, things will all change naturally. After some practice, it gets more subtle. And throughout the day, you remain centered in the witness, watching life's drama unfold. The witness is always here and now. It resides in each instant of living. You ask yourself, how do I use my every moment to get here? The attitude is not heavy or tight. like, I've got to be careful. I might make a mistake. Relax. Be light. Dance through it all. Trusting, quieting, flowing. Your witnessing lives in the flow of your love and the quietness of your mind. Women in Indian villages talk and gossip as they walk back from the well, but they never forget the jugs of water on their head. The jug of water is what your journey is all about. So do what you do in your life, but don't forget the jug of water. Don't forget what it is all about. The illusion keeps pulling you back into forgetting. Lost in your melodrama, you keep forgetting into it. Sometimes you spill the water. You will keep forgetting and remembering, and forgetting and remembering. And every now and then, you remember. Keep your eye on the mark.
Please join with me as in this moment we recognize the one Spirit, the one love, God, fully present in this room and everywhere. And I know for myself, as I know for each and every one of you, that this Spirit, this love flows through each and every one of us at the deepest level and expresses itself in a very unique but beautiful way about who you are as an individual, who you are as a child of God, as who you are as pure spirit. And so that I know that for each and every one of us here. And so today, as we recognize the power of spirit, the power of love, we allow that recognition to dive down deep into our soul at the deepest level and to listen to the soul's call, to the urge to listen and to be still and to know, to be that witness of our true self, and to allow that recognition and that power of that understanding to propel us into a greater view and a greater way of being, to learn and to grow and to love more. And so I know for today that in today's talk, Reverend Sue is inspired and that her words are coming from her heart and through spirit. So we open our minds and we open our ears. We're open at the top to hear and listen to the inspired words of Reverend Sue today. So I give great thanks for today, for spirit, and for grace, and for everyone here together today. So I release these words and this prayer into law, knowing full well it is so, and together we say, and so it is. So Reverend Sue on Let's Get Together and Feel All Right.
Good morning. So, Damien, I'm curious about something. Is there a way that you can move that camera and scan the audience and people can wave to people? Is that possible? Yes. Hey, everybody, turn around and look at the camera and wave to people, wave to your friends. We miss each other, and we are just saying hello, and we love you out there, and we are here, and you are there, and we are one. Yeah. Yeah, how fun is that? Yay, God. Yeah. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. We could really get into it. When we get more relaxed with each other, we'll just start boogieing here. Thank you, Damien, and thank you, audience, for being here, one way or the other. So, beautiful prayer, Charlie. Thank you. And your reading of Ram Dass was right on. Damien, thank you for that as well, because part of the message here that we're sharing has to do with being very mindful. That's one of the spiritual practices that we lean into, and it's becoming very much part of our everyday experience since COVID time has come upon us. 2020 is like no other time in my life. I don't know how you are with it, but it's shifted a lot of things. So this principle of oneness. Now we talk about that a lot. We point to that a lot. And it's one of the central principles of this philosophy, and it's a thread through all of the great master teachers. They're inviting us to recognize the oneness. So there's a deep message to just that in itself, the oneness. So it's not just about me, mine, mine. I felt that way as I've been going through a transition and moving from a house I'd been in for close to 40 years and going around to all of my little places where I had sanctuary set up in the yard. And my daughter is moving into our place temporarily during COVID time. She's a minimalist. She doesn't want stuff. So I'm just going around just collecting all my stuff. Mine. You know, a little statue here and there. This mine. And I thought, God, I just was like looking like I can't leave anything. It's all mine. And I thought, what kind of oneness is that? And it sort of reminded myself of those seagulls in the Nemo movie, right? Mine, when they're all going for the piece of bread on the rock. And I thought, you know, there's a tendency with this idea of oneness that maybe we lean in that direction without realizing it. And then the idea, well, God and I are one. And therefore, if you don't live by my rules and expectations of decent human beingness, then you are outside my heart. It happens. It happens so subtly, and it happens so, unfortunately, so quickly. Because you think about this on your Facebook, social media. For those of you that are on social media, I'm going to block them. I'll show them I'm blocking them because they don't think like me. Well, that hurt my feelings when somebody else writes something. Yet we're all one. So it's an interesting dance how our feelings are connected to a social media network. That's also so different than any other time, because we have this way of just saying whatever is on our mind. And so we begin to recognize this idea of oneness, yet also with conditions. And so I'm inviting you to explore your conditions on that and set yourself free. Because when we really dive deep into that field of the unified love, of that sense of oneness, as Ram Dass reminds us, when we remember, because there's moments we'll forget, let us flow out of that and remember again and again, as many times as it takes, because there is just one love, one heart, and we are one with that, and we are one with each other in that knowing. So the title of the talk, Let's Get Together and Feel All Right. It's about time that we just get together and feel all right. Now, Edward Viong, the minister, Reverend Dr. Edward Viong from the Santa Rosa Center, is also the president of our organization overall. He's brilliant with his bullet point messages for these talks, and there's a piece that I want to share from his wisdom, because he shares from a Reverend Stephanie Spellers, who is an Episcopalian minister, and she talks about radical welcoming. And that caught me, radical welcoming. How we welcome each other, but she says there's an outward sign on many churches. We welcome you, come on in. But she said there's an inner invisible sign that says only if you fit in or adjust to us, right? I'm like, whoa, there's truth there. And so what is your intention when we say this, we are one? And if we examine that, if we examine our deep intentions when we set forth these beautiful spiritual principles, and we find our mouth saying those words of beauty, let that inform you. How deep is your heart invested in what you're saying? Do you value what you're saying about this idea of oneness, to be truly inclusive? Because it is so easy to be inclusive when we feel safe, and when our environment is familiar, and when everything is kind of in alignment with our values. But the world isn't made that way. This is a diverse world with diverse opinions and lifestyles, behaviors, history. It's just pregnant with these possibilities and potentialities, and we are one with all of that. So why are we fighting it so much and getting so indignant at times? So there's times that I'm looking deeply into the diversity, to that whole principle that is so prominent right now. Instead of hearing it just as a buzzword, I think, how welcoming am I really? As I look around this world and I start to pause and deeply look into the heart of what that is asking of me, how inclusive am I? And this is the idea of really looking at the inclusivity of your heart, that it doesn't matter if somebody believes like you do. Politically, it doesn't matter. Really, we need to drop that fight and open to love and let the love prevail. And when we do, when we really go to that level of the calling of these times, we listen. It doesn't mean we have to change our beliefs or change our values. We can trust in our knowing, but we can walk with kindness and speak with kindness. And then when we do that, our words are heard, our values are heard. Ernest Holmes says very clearly in this teaching, oneness does not mean equal sameness. Unity does not mean uniformity. Very powerful, very clear statement that goes across all of time. So this is where we find ourselves, and I'm encouraging you to look at your edges as you move into your heart space. Just look at your edges. It's perfectly understandable when we're in our comfort zone and we welcome those that are kin to that. That's understandable. I see that behavior. We see it in animals. And I wanted to share some of this wisdom about the animal kingdom. We have a lot to learn from that. And you can see how they work with this principle of truth. And I think it's why when we see something outside of an animal's usual nature and we see them bond with another species, we're like, go figure that. Look at Bored Panda today. Look at this. And we want to share that, and we're amused by that, and our hearts are open to that, and it's exciting, and there's books written on it. And I've kind of witnessed that with my own cats. I have 4 and one. I don't know why I won't include that one. Look at me, oneness. I have 4 and 1. It's because that one is a stray, but it's an aged, sad cat, and I brought it with me anyway because it's a feral cat, and I didn't want it to not thrive wherever at the end of its life. I'm stammering because I should say I have 5 cats. Okay, there it did. I said, I own it. We own it, Charlie. Whew, they're all one. And poor Buster, he's just kind of hanging in there in the garage, but I think he's really grateful that he got to come along. But trying to bring 5 cats into a new environment after they've just had their free spirits in the other home wasn't a very fun experience, as you can imagine. I stepped in poop one night, and they cried all night, and he slept through all that. Charlie, not the cats. The cats were just like, and going to every window and like, what is this? Until they started to settle, until it started to be familiar. So I'm thinking, there it is. When it became familiar, they began to relax. They began to come out from hiding in the cat box, hiding behind the washer and dryer, hiding wherever they were hiding. I couldn't find them. They came out, and they looked around. Now, I also noticed at the other house when dogs would bark, they were so used to that dog's voice that they didn't stir. Now, the new neighborhood, the dog barks, and they're gone. They're gone to their hiding places. And I'm like, until it gets familiar. We do that until we get familiar. Walking into a new work field, a new environment, a new city, a new church, a new whatever, a new store, we're timid and we're cautious and we're on the alert. And then we start to get comfortable and we start to move with the situations that we're in with greater grace and understanding and calmness. The flow, as Ram Dass continues to point back to, and being mindful in that. So as we look at the animals, some people still think they're it's just a dumb old animal, but I just don't feel that. I feel like there's so much intelligence in the universe. I feel like the spirit of the divine is poking us, prodding us, always saying, look at it this way, watch this. And so I looked at Bored Panda and just looking at how animals are capable of this love and this compassion just as we are. So in Bored Panda, they described that why did these animals form these different friendships from something outside of their nature? Some of them, like lions, dogs, and elephants, are known for forming strong social relationships or even networks out in the wild. But listen to this. In the absence of their prides or packs, it makes sense that they would seek other animal friends outside of their species, outside of our familiar pack. How do we engage with the world? More solitary animals may form parent-child relationships with animals, and they spend their time to help raise them, especially if the parents are gone or missing. Whatever the reason, unusual friendships are shown that the animals may be far more emotionally complex than we are led to believe. So you go back to Bored Panda is the site, but you look at Bubbles, the African elephant, and Bella, the black Labrador. That's a famous one. That black Labrador and that elephant are tight, and that Labrador will dive off of the elephant's back, and the elephant will help lift it back up with its trunk onto its back as they play in the lake waters. And then there's Bo the giraffe and Wilma the ostrich. There's a couple, there's a match. I think it's the necks. I don't think they realize, well, you got a long neck, I got a long neck, let's go for it, let's make a relationship. This natural affinity grew for no reason. It had a park that was really large, a large park that in the Busch Gardens, but these two bonded. There's Tinny the dog and Sniffer the wild fox, Torque the dog and Shrek the owl. That baby owl was found, that was a rescue, and the dog just took it in and raised it, and they became best of friends. There's Fred the Labrador and Dennis the duckling. The duckling's mother was taken from life, and Fred the Labrador raised the duck. And to this day, there's still a relationship there. Mabel the chicken, she came in, and if because the mother didn't really want to hang with the puppy, she would nurse them, but then she was off. So Mabel sat with them, kept them warm while they were being nurtured. And then finally, Milo the dog and the bone digger lion. Milo the dog is a little dachshund, just a little wiener dog, but befriended this lion. The lion took the dog, and the lion just became the tight buddies. The lion had a metabolic bone disease that left him disabled, but now that lion, 500 years later, is still the best of buddies with that 11-pound dachshund and its buddies, Bullet and Angel. I love these names. And then you might have seen the Shere Khan, Babu, and Leo. Shere Khan is the tiger, Baloo the bear, and Leo the lion. Best friends. They do not part. They suffered together in an abused cage situation, and they were rescued, and now they thrive. And they're under the care of Noah's Ark Animal Sanctuary in the U.S. I find those stories just completely remarkable. Those are animals. What about us? What about us blending with the different people, the different diversity on this planet? Yes, it's natural to go to a tribe of people that you feel the affinity with, but it's also possible to open your heart with great compassion, to move outside of your comfort zone. Now, there's no other time in my life that I remember such chaos that we're going through as we are right now. And that doesn't mean that the different eras of time that I've lived through weren't important historically. I was a diehard hippie, so I grew up in that rebellious sense of the civil rights and free love and all of those women's rights and all of those important, powerful moments of history. But now we're adding the pandemic to that mix, which none of us had the tools to really get comfortable with, to figure out how do we serve each other here. We have to transform a way of being into something new, and it's not easy. We can't rely on what it's supposed to be like. What we have to rely on is being mindful of what is and accepting what is. So here we are, finding our comfort zones, and sometimes preferring just to stay in our comfort zone. We want the same food choices, we want the same TV shows, the same news network, again, the same Facebook friends. But that's your consciousness revealed. If you take a step back, look at it. That has framed who you are. Not a bad thing at all, but there's more to this oneness. There's more to what Ernest Holmes says, I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination, which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the force of nature in its grasp. We are guided by that same intelligence. We are inspired by that same vast imagination. That same force, that same energy is illuminating us right now as we deeply listen. What is mine to do here? even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's uncomfortable, may I shift my skill in listening deeply and observing and being the witness to observe. Right action will follow. Right action will rise up by my deep loving nature that defines my true self, that defines your true self, that defines our true self. Eckhart Tolle says, be aware of what you think. To a large extent, creates the emotions that you feel. See the link between your thinking and your emotions rather than being your thoughts, and your emotions. Tricky. Think about it again. Be aware what you think. To a large extent, creates the emotions that you feel. See the link between your thinking and your emotions. Rather than being your thoughts and emotions, be the awareness behind them. Wow, be the awareness behind them. What a calm, centered view that is. As the perceptual eye shuts down and the eye of wisdom, thine eye be single, opens to the light, to the divinity. Now, we've heard that story where the student comes to the teacher, and the teacher offers the student the tea, and the teacher starts to pour the tea into the teacup, and the student's sitting there watching, and then the master just keeps pouring, and the cup overflows. You heard that story, right? What's your take on it? It's one of those Zen tales. The cup is overflowing. The student came to the teacher to be fed with some wisdom, but his head was so full that the teacher said, how much more can I pour in there? You need to empty out something. You need to empty. This is the question right now in COVID times. We need to empty. We need to empty something out. Some of our prejudiceness, our biases, they're being revealed to us. They're so subtle, they're so quiet, they're so comfortable, they're home inside of us. But our cup is full. So these times we've been influenced with thoughts and opinions that continue to fill up our cups until they're overflowing. Time to empty some of that cup by being mindful to what it is that you're allowing to flow into you. What are you willing to do so that you can create some space all around you, within you? Create some space. Something needs to empty. So you ask yourself, am I really an open-minded person? How much openness am I really expressing? Again, look at your environment. Open up those drawers in your kitchen. How cluttered are they? How much have you been stuffing and holding? Where's the space? Where's the freedom to allow this idea to take birth inside of us in such a way that we are the ones, again, making the change, walking the walk? Rick Hansen is an author I love to follow, and he says, look at the wallpaper of your mind. What is preoccupying you? What are you worrying about, regretting, resenting? Be mindful, turn it around, make some space through the spiritual practices. So I wanted to share, looking at some wisdom from John Prendergast from The Deep Heart. I want to share something from him to tie this together, and then close with some wisdom from Greg Braden. So just briefly, John from The Deep Heart, beautiful book. Roy Wolfstead gave it to me. Judging ourselves and others. Judgments poison relationships and promote disconnection precisely 100% of the time. Check it out. Think of someone that you critically judge, consciously evoke your judgment of them, and notice if you feel closer or distant. Notice your heart space. Is it open? is it contracted? Discernment means seeing things as they are, and judgment means evaluating whether something or someone, good, bad, right, or wrong. We can detect our judgments by the use of the word should in our thought and speech. When we judge, we're measuring what is actually against an ideal. We tell ourselves that someone should not have done something when in fact they've already done it. Our conditioned mind is arguing with reality, which is something that it does particularly well. That's your conditioned mind. The soul mind, be still, let love flow, be still, be mindful of this moment. When we tap into presence, he said, we realize that we are already accepting what we are, things as they are. So, Greg Braden, great philosopher of our time, he's talking about the promise of compassion, going back to that idea to weave that thread through here. The divine is breathing through our room right now, giving us some space. So I want you to think about these principles that he's showing us. If you, number one, acknowledge that there is a single source of all that is or may ever be, do you acknowledge that every life event, without exception, is part of the one? Do you believe that? If there is a single source of all that is or ever may be. If you trust, point number two, in the process of life as it is shown to you, trust in divine timing with no accident. There's a breather. Trust in divine right action. Number three, believe that each and every experience drawn to you without exception is an opportunity to demonstrate your mastery of life. Every opportunity, without exception, is your moment to demonstrate that I got this. Ram Dass, I'm remembering who I am. I'm remembering who you are. There is space. The next one, truly believe that your life essence is eternal and that your body may enjoy the same experience in eternity. Then, how can you at the same time judge yourself? Don't judge yourself through this. How can you judge yourself, a life event, the choice or action of another person, as right, wrong, good, bad, or anything other than an expression of the one? Those 5 simple statements are powerful agents of change, he says. They are the code, determining for the rest of your body the response at a given situation. Going back to Eckhart Tolle, rather than being your thoughts and your emotions, be the awareness behind them. The use of the word believe rather than know is intentional and done for purposes of clarity. Knowing may only result from direct experience. Believing allows for a possibility of something in your life, though you may not as yet have had the direct experience of knowing, unless you have consciously experienced life as a constant eternal, unless you have consciously experienced life as constant and eternal, for example, you probably believe that it is so. Until you pass beyond life, you may believe that life is eternal. Specific meditations and near-death experiences are just examples. So, using your thoughts of the left-right brain, driven by some of your emotion through the power of your system, your ability to resolve your feeling world regarding each statement is a repatterning of the codes that you've been holding in your cup. This is going to help you determine how you choose to see the world. How awesome is that? To have a recipe for change, to just really acknowledge, trust, believe, truly believe, and then how can you continue judging what is? So, when we stand in a place Let's get together and feel all right. Community, come home. Let's come together and feel all right. We're going to close with this song that Damien's going to play. I want you to stand and move a little bit. I want you to stand for peace. I want you to stand for change. I want you to feel nobody's watching you, especially you at home. Nobody's watching. Just the observer within you is witnessing. So rise up, everyone, if you feel so comfortable. Just rise up and listen to these songs. Close your eyes, sway with it even, but feel the power of this music put together about the one love. Damien? Those are your heartstrings awakening. Here comes. Listen. Spacious self, when you allow yourself to come out of those moments where we feel awkward or shy and we say yes to a song that invites us to move with spirit into something profound and beautiful and real. This is the invitation of our times. There is only one power, one truth, one love, one force powerfully moving through the universe and through each and every one of us as individualized expressions of this love and this truth. And as we look with deep compassion at the way we have been behaving, we look deeper and we remember to be mindful of our words and we speak with kindness. We are mindful of our heart space and we empty the cup so that it may be filled again with greater love. And we remember one another in these times. We embrace each other. We pray for the children as they begin to prepare in many communities going back to school. We pray for the teachers, for their strength. We pray for the administrative staff. We pray for the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers. We pray for the people on this planet that are dealing with this COVID experience, face to face, heart to heart, hand to hand, touching that which we fear. In some ways, in some level, we pray deeper. And we recognize that our prayers of good make a difference. That for every nurse, every first responder, every doctor, every patient, every family that has had to deal with this horrific pandemic, that our hearts are so open to take some of their suffering and to pour back more courage, more strength. And we bow in humility to what is before us now. We bow so low so that we may receive the grace of a deeper understanding. I give thanks for each one of you here because I know you walk the talk. I know that together we are truly one, and we speak that truth, and we live that truth, and we share that love. I release this in gratitude, knowing that a word spoken in blessing meets the heart every time. So be it, and so it is. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Charlie? Thank you.
So as I realized when we were clapping to the song, I have a real challenge of being on beat. But then I realized I'm on beat because it doesn't really matter. It's all, anyway, you should have seen me. I was watching people around me, they're doing this, and I'm doing totally the opposite. But that was fun, Sue. Thank you for a wonderful talk and deep, deep message. So now we're going to do our offertory, but we do it a little bit differently now. And so I'm going to mention the affirmation, and then you just kind of say it back to yourself silently. And then you can drop off your gift if you so choose. When you go out the two doors, we have baskets, where you can just give your offertory at that time. And for those online listening, if you go to our website, CSLreading.org, sorry. So www.cslreading.org, you can find ways that you can help us out that way, or you could just mail something in. But but truly, your gifts are so important during this time because we're allowed to stay open and to serve the community, to bring together the services. We continue the Zoom classes. We have classes and workshops that are going on at the center with social distancing. And so we continue to thrive as a community. And so we give deep thanks and gratitude for all that's given so that we can continue with this important teaching and allowing the community to come together and to stay together in so many different ways. So with a large heart, I say thank you on behalf of this center and everyone here. And I'm going to do the offertory affirmation. So gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance. For I know as I give, I do receive. And so it is. So we're going to close out the service with a recorded song by Dalton Fitzgerald. And so just allow yourself to listen to Dalton's recording. We're eventually going to get to the point where we have videos inserted into the Facebook Live. You know, we're getting there. But this is a recorded song by Dalton, and I'd like to say thank you for being here today. And as soon as the song is over, then we just peacefully go out and enjoy our day. Thank you.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the darkness round me falls? I know the truth, it liveth. And what though the tempest round me roars? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? And when tyrants tremble sick with fear, and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them go winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing? Oh, my life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, those freedom bells come ringing, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?